Entry Point is probably the best game I've ever played, and there's a lot of good things about it, but even Entry Point is not without its downsides. Anyway, let's get right into the list. Number 10, Dedication. The Dedication cutscene is one of the biggest and most memorable plot twists in the story, but there's one thing that just absolutely triggers me. Near the end, after Ren is revealed as this heartless sociopath and shoots the freelancer, instead of finishing them off, he decides to keep talking, which gives Jackdaw just enough time to arrive and kill him. Ren could have killed the freelancer really easily if he hadn't wasted so much time, but no, he just had to get in that last one-liner. Number 9. The Timer. Entry Point has a timer which is very unreliable. It usually gets stuck at 0 for a while before it starts counting, which means it's always behind. This delay is usually only a few seconds, but sometimes it can be up to 20 seconds or more. If you're playing the Lake House, then this gives you the illusion that you have more time left than you actually do. Also, in speedruns, this makes you think your time is faster than it actually is. The weirdest thing is that the time at the end of the game is actually correct, and so are the timestamps every time you complete an objective in speedrun mode. So the game does keep track of time correctly, but it still shows the player the wrong time, which makes no sense. Number 8. The Typos. The dialogue and files in Entry Point have several typos and grammar errors. While this isn't really a big deal, it takes away from the professional aspect of the game, and it baffles me why Sish hasn't bothered to fix them yet. Probably the worst typos are those in the player's codenames. The nicknames Poseidon and Plague are misspelled, which means that some people have typos in their codenames, and they can't change it. Number 7. Out of Bounds Teleporting. Several missions, like the Black Site and the Scientist, have doors that will sometimes teleport you back when you try to go through. This feature exists to prevent people from glitching through the map, which I totally agree with, but unfortunately it's just really glitchy. It may not seem like a big deal, but if you're speedrunning, then this can cause you to lose valuable time, and it's just annoying overall. I feel like Sish should just disable the teleporting once the door is unlocked, since it makes no sense for someone to glitch through if they can just open the door anyway. Number 6. The Tutorial. This is one of the biggest failures in EP because it doesn't really prepare the player for any actual missions. For instance, in other missions, but not in the Freelancer, disabling cameras generally lures guards. Also, breaking the lock on the front door is very risky. Disguises aren't found like this. A suspicion meter isn't invisible. Leaving bodies out in the open isn't a good idea, and so on. Basically, the mechanics of the tutorial are too different to actually prepare players for a full stealth mission. If Sish made the tutorial slightly harder but more like the main missions, then I believe that the average player would start off with a higher skill level. Number 5. RNG. RNG stands for Random Number Generator and refers to anything in the game that's decided randomly. It really sucks when success of the mission is based not on how good you are, but how lucky you are. And in missions like the Lake House, you don't have the time to play it safe, which forces you to rely on RNG. If your RNG is good, then you could play like a total noob in the riskiest way possible and still win. But if it sucks, then you could do everything right and still fail. I don't want to be too harsh here because there isn't really a better alternative, but it's still one of the most frustrating things in the entire game. Number 4. The Rose cutscene in the Black Site. In the Black Site, entering Rose's cell plays a short cutscene. The problem is that in Loud, the Seal Cove operatives can go inside the cell and kill you, but you can't even fight back while the cutscene is playing. While it's true that you can use medkits during the cutscene, you also can't see your health bar, which makes the timing difficult. If you're playing the Black Site by yourself, then you better hope Rose isn't in cell A or B, or else, well, good luck. Number 3. The Onyx Unit. I still remember that day like it was yesterday, May 9th, 2020, the day the Black Dust came out. I was playing it on Loud for the very first time, and once I was almost finished, I turned around, waiting to escape through the elevator, and I just see this bald dude with cringy glasses and a minigun, and then I just see that he's called the Onyx Unit. Project Onyx had been hyped throughout most of the story. All the theorists imagined that it would be something epic like a chemical weapon or a nuke or even a freaking UFO or something, But you're telling me that the little biggest plot device in Entry Point was this dude? Guys, that was not a good day for me, and I probably lost a few brain cells from all the dead theories. Now, in hindsight, I guess this does make some sense, and there were actually a few hints in the lock codes, but it was still a big letdown. Number 2. The credits. The epilogue cutscene has the official credits, which show the members of the QA team. I don't have anything wrong with any of them, and they're all cool in their own ways, especially my boy Dart, because Dart is just really chill, like we're basically best friends. Anyway, I guess the main issue is that it was only these people in the credits. I feel that there were plenty of hardworking people who also deserved a spot there. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that there should have been like 50 people in the actual QA team, but there should have been at least some form of recognition for others who made more of an impact. I'm also not saying that I should have been there because my name is literally unofficial, not official, but the man himself, GHFJ Sparrow, should definitely have been there, seeing as he did literally nothing wrong. Anyway, we know that Sish is a really talented developer who tries their best to create the best experience possible, but there's only so much they can do when the main problems come from, number 1, Roblox itself. Being a Roblox game creates a few problems for Entry Point. First, there's the teleport failures. If someone is playing the Iron Man game mode, which is really long, and the game fails to teleport them to the next mission, then they have to start over, which is extremely frustrating. There's also the occasional data store error, which has caused a few players to lose all their progress. And then there's the Roblox chat filter, which not only filters cuss words, but also some totally innocent words as well, including the names of certain characters. However, the main issue is that Roblox is perceived and advertised as a platform for younger kids. With the prevalence of obbies, simulators, and games like Adopt Me, Roblox has developed a very negative stigma to it as a place for awkward and toxic kids to hang out. Whether fair or not, this image makes it impossible to grow a mature player base or compete with non-Roblox games like Payday 2. There's plenty of people who refuse to play EP or don't take it seriously because they consider themselves too old or too mature for Roblox, which they perceive as a cringy mess. This places EP in a fairly awkward position where it's too serious and complex to do well within Roblox compared to more casual and carefree games, but because it's part of Roblox, it's turned down by a lot of people who just dislike Roblox. That's not to say that EP is a perfect game or that there aren't any things that Sish could have done better, because as I pointed out in this video, there's several legitimate criticisms of the game. However, this doesn't change the fact that being a Roblox game really limits the game's potential and prevents it from being what it perhaps could have been. Anyway, what do you think? Do you agree with my list? The best way to discuss is by joining my Discord server. In my server, you can find people to play EP with, get tips from really good players, talk about pretty much anything, or just post memes. It's free, and it's the best way to get in contact with me. Also, I'd like to give credit to MasterHunter358 and Aiden9382 for recording all the footage and making this video possible. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.